And today we're going to talk about like such uh, relatively popular topic for the front-end system designer to you as designing Google Photos. Basically, Google Photos clone. So, what is going to be? Let's talk about like requirements for this photo clone. I guess most of you have used that thing, and obviously it has tons of features, tons of cool features. It's the app that I'm using a lot, but today we are going to concentrate on our like smaller scale thing. So first of all, we want to again we can't cover everything with like 45 minutes of the interview. So first functionality, so let's first, yes, as I just said, we will talk about the functional requirements of our Google Photos clone. And these requirements will have a few things. First of all, we will be able to do following. We'll be able to uh, show your photo stream. Basically, all photos that you have with the ability to scroll, plus photo details. So you could enlarge a specific photo and you could kind of see a bit more information about that, when it was taken, location where it was taken, name of the file, etc. Second part, which probably would be pretty crucial to such kind of photo sharing app, is albums. So obviously people would like to organize um, your content into albums and yeah, and well, of course, in order to make all these things work, oh, and when I talk albums, it's yes, viewing albums and creating albums, deleting albums, so basically all of such operations. And obviously, in order to all this thing work, we will need a way to upload photos. So this will be our minimum viable product. Of course, you could go further. You can add functionality or ability to share individual photos or albums with other people, but we are not going to cover this in this mock interview. Okay, not mock, like fake interview. So let's talk about the non-functional requirements. Um, this is a bit trickier in case of the front end system design interviews. So let's see what kind of non-functional requirements we could have for such kind of an app. So well, first of all, one would probably would like to have this to work fast, right? And when I say fast, it will be yes, loading photos fast, showing you content fast, and of course, like making sure that your browser don't die when you want to view like a few hundred photos, or when you have a few hundred photos or a few thousand photos, or even more in your photo stream. So this is important. Second, we obviously want to have a good user experience here. And well, for that, you probably will need to pair with a UX designer, but it's always to have good UX in mind. We want to build our application mobile first, but we also want to make sure that it's supported on the wide range of devices. On desktop, on tablets, etc. But we will be aiming like going mobile first. And we want to know what happens to our application, how users are using it. So and also if something is going wrong with that, we also want to know that and react, maybe have some alerting. That's all. We will need to have some login information about the about how our Google Photos behaves. And we also want to, of course, have our photo sharing application to be accessible, photo application to be accessible. and localized. So more people could use that, no matter which language they speak or if they have any impairments. It's about non-functional requirements. Um, let's now maybe go for a high-level design of the components that we are going to have, and then we will talk about like some specific things, or maybe we're going to mention some specific things while talking on this. So high-level design. Well, we'll have to have a few separate things right here for the high-level design. Let's start with the easiest one to cover the functionality about the uploading photos. So for the uploading photos, we'll just need an upload component, which is very simple. It's literally uh, kind of a drop zone with ability to drop in your files. For the simplicity reasons, we will. It could look something like this, right? Just like with plus. Again with plus. So the idea of this component would be that you could drop. Let's call it photo upload component. So the idea of this component would be, yeah, you just drop your file, and it automatically starts uploading, and multiple automatically starts uploading. Of course, it has several states. This is basically the state where it's ready for upload. In other cases, it would be showing probably some sort of progress bar where with a basically loading spinner or just a loading spinner. So yeah, it could have some sort of uploading state, which I'm not a big uh, drawer, but yeah, it could have several states, and it could be anywhere on the page, and the context of this component could change depending of like the functionality of this component could change depending on the context this component is used in. So, for example, if you're in the context of like just general photo stream, it will upload you into the main like without any album. If you're in context of the album, you are uploading it right to the album. So maybe if we, in terms of like, if we would talk about React, we could express this something like this photo upload component, and it would have props like context, which could be like photo stream, or it could be album. And then, for example, in case of album, it could accept album ID. Uh, uh, and obviously, this component it also would show some notifications about well, yeah, as I said already, loading spinner. It would show like some success message about the fact that the component sorry, the photo has been successfully submitted. So something like, or error message. So I don't know, add a green toast saying uh, yeah, saying something like success. Um, well, we will talk about a bit later about the API that we will use here for that photo upload component. Another part is, well, we obviously will need to have the ability to show the photo stream, and for that, well, this will be our main page. So for that, the, there will be a couple of main components here, and so let's create a photo stream. So here the main component would be kind of a photo grid, right? The grid that we are going to, so this will be the photo grid component, and this will be basically having all our photos, photo grid component. But important to mention here that, well, it's not just like, and yeah, inside we will have individual photo thumbnails. Components, there will be multiple of them. Obviously, as many as you have photos. But it's also important to note here that it will be not just multiple such such components. We will not be able to render all of the photos. So imagine if you have like thousands of photos, or maybe tens of thousands of photos, and you won't be able to render all of them at the same time. So you'll have so many DOM elements. This is heavy DOM elements. This is pictures. Your browser page will probably die if you want to render something like that. That's why we will actually need to have a virtual kind of a virtual scrolling there, and we could encapsulate that into components. Let's call it viewport component, which would actually be something that we currently show. And usually this viewport would just like this will hold the those DOM nodes with thumbnails that are currently visible to the user, and everything else won't be rendered to the DOM. So everything outside of the viewport won't be rendered into the DOM. And well, obviously you will have the scroll bar here, which will go up and down, and while you scroll, your viewport also moves, and that basically starts to you will in that case when your viewport moves, you will remove some DOM nodes uh, from the DOM on the service photos and add some others from the DOM to the DOM. That's why you have a limited amount of DOM nodes that you keep in the DOM, and everything else is not in the DOM, and your page is snappy and it's well, it works fast. Of course, in order to implement this, there's tons of already ready-made solutions for this virtualized lists, their code. But the main idea here is that you need to display when displaying the default viewport. You need to display like what kind of the size of the current screen plus some margin on the top side, some margin on the bottom side. This way that when a user scrolls quickly, you kind of when user scrolls, you just recalculate what is visible, what is not visible. You start loading new photos, and you remove the old thumbnails that are no longer visible from the DOM, so they don't hog the browser memory. Of course, the individual photo thumbnail is also not like not really a dump component. It's also capable of loading the photo thumbnail of itself, and it's also capable of showing some loading spinner or a glimmer, so just to give a user a feeling of that it's loading yet. So, and then when it's loaded, it replaces it with a thumbnail of the photo. So besides the photo grid itself, we'll also have to have a bit more of additional functionality. We will have to have like photo details. So we'll have some sort of overlay component. So let's call this photo details. And this will be overlay component here, which will just cover all our screen. And then here we will have one would be our full-size photo, and another would be the sidebar. So here this will be our full-size photo. And here, obviously, we will already load like normal photo size. It can still be not really full size. So imagine if you have some DSLR photo heavy, like that weighs 100, not 100, tens of megabytes. That's 20 megapixels. It might still not work like it loaded in original quality. It might be still worse to load some sort of modified version, like, or a resized version, but still obviously it's not like as small as this photo thumbnail. And here the another component is going to be our sidebar component, photo details component, which will basically have all the information like about the name of the file that we have there, like date, who, when the photo was taken, photo size, maybe some additional EXIF information like location, something like that, basic metadata about the photo. So this will be basically our photo details page and photo stream page. Besides that, we probably will need some sort of sidebar in general, where we will have some additional functionality there. So a sidebar component that will be like upwiped. Let's go it like that. So let's call this sidebar. And for now, the only thing that we would have here, we will just have albums, which will have the albums list, and this be like probably a list of like album 1, album 2, etc. And maybe we also could have a button here to create album. And this will be just a photo, a way to create a new album. I'm not going to show it. It's very trivial. And obviously we will have the album, individual album kind of page. Let's go it like that. Basically, it will have a title. Sorry, it will have a title, and then maybe date, and then basically it will again have the same photo grid component as we had there, but now it will be just in the context of individual albums. So again, it's kind of could be quite similar in terms of componentization. Again, it's like in terms of props, so you could have like some sort of context, which could be either the whole photo stream or just an individual album. And then if it's album, it could have album ID passed. So and this as I said would be our photo grid component. This is basically, and then obviously when this photo grid component is used, again, it's using this photo details component in turn. So everything is, these components are reused in both of the contexts. Nice. So this is more or less about the how this could uh, mm, like could look like in a high level design. Now let's talk about like some API design, right? That we will have to support all of this functionality. So let me add a new section here. So for the API design, obviously it really depends on the types of the backend that is used in the company, and also the way how the front end is being written. But usually like the way how to approach the API, it could be either a REST API or it could be a GraphQL API. In that sense, it's not not that much different. And I think in this case we would just have a um, do a REST API design. Uh, it would be probably simpler to showcase. So let's talk about which endpoints we will have to have in order to cover the functionalities that we have discussed about. So first of all, we will have to have yeah, like let's have a convention that every pass will start with API. So what we'll have API like photo, and that would be our post. Again, if we are talking in terms of REST, this will be the API that accepts the photo upload, and so this is where we will be uploading the photo. It will, and yeah, by the way, just like in order not to repeat that in every endpoint, obviously all endpoints would be like all endpoints would accept uh, some sort of authentication information, be it cookie or token or something like that. So it's basically we make sure that this is a private thing. It's not a public thing. So it's important that this is accessible only to the users who have the correct access, who are logged in. So yeah, let's get back to the API. We can post photo. Obviously, we will need to get the details of the specific photos. So and we will pass ID. Um, ID here probably would be some sort of UEID, so like some unique identifier. Uh, Probably we'll need to delete a photo as well. So this is handy to use. Updating photo, right now we don't have that sort of functionality in our requirements, but if we've had, for example, a way to update the date or the location of the photo being taken, we could add a put API and yes, have do that function. Um, yeah, now let's talk about what kind of information about the photo we could have. So yeah, in this case, for the photo, we could have few things. Uh, and I'll be using the TypeScript type photo. And it would be very, very simple. So first of all, you'll need to have an ID. And as I said, it's going to be some unique identifiers, probably a string type. We will have to have a file name, which is obviously also a string. We will also have a, date at which this was taken. So this date probably, if we want to keep the information about the time zones, and we don't want to show that, like, if we want to actually show in which time zone this was taken, then we should store the string. Otherwise, maybe even call this not a date rather than a timestamp. And we could maybe also call this differently. Like if we start, for example, if we don't need to show the information about the uh, times like time zones, maybe we could just store the uh, Unix epoch time and return it as number. That's also possible, but yeah, let's go with the timestamp. What else do we have? Photo size. So size, uh, it could be just an array of two numbers. It could be an object, let it be object. So width would be number, height would be number as well. Um, and well, for file size, uh, probably it will be number in bytes, and location could be an object with latitude, num like string, and uh, number, and longitude, again number. So this will be our photo object. Well, we forgot about the most important stuff. So we will need to have a few URLs, right? And this is the URLs here would be like thumbnail URL. Thumbnail URL, so the URL of the thumbnail we want to use, and like full size. Uh, Also, if this kind of design allows us in future, if we want to have some like intermediary sizes to add here, we could also have it. So this way we could, like, yeah, as I was saying, maybe in the full size photo, we don't really want to show like 20 megapixels. Maybe we still want to show like, mm, according to the screen size, so it looks better, but not like taking too much bandwidth and not loading like a few dozens of megabytes. But then when you download, if you really want to download, you want to have the URL to full things. Important to mention here from the kind of security perspective that these URLs should be signed in the way that, like, if have some sort of a key inside them. This way, when we actually want to view them, this prevents user from just like, if someone just guesses the URL of course it's like random set of symbols, etc. But again, if someone guesses this number or string and wants to access it right from the internet without authentication information, it won't be possible. So it should have this generated URLs. They should have some piece of kind of authentication information in this URL, so they could be only viewed by the logged in user. So this is regarding photos. Right, now another type of object that we have here is albums. So let's talk about what kind of information about oh yeah, and I guess about the photo, we also want to see maybe the album IDs it belongs to. So let's have albums IDs as an array, like string array probably. This will be the uh, unique identifiers of albums. Now, yeah, let's get back to the album stuff actually. So, what kind of APIs we'll have? We'll need for albums. It will be pretty similar, right? So we will need to have the post API to create new album. We'll have to get API to get information about the album, delete to delete, and probably with album it's even more relevant. We want to be able to rename the album and or I don't know, make like what is the title photo or what is the yeah, some other metadata about the album. So yeah, we'll also need to have a put endpoint here. In terms of data structure, kind of that would represent the album. Well, it's going to look like something like this. So we'll have album, right? We'll have the name, obviously, and it's going to be string. Probably we will have the date when album was created, but yeah, maybe no, maybe we don't really need that. What we need is like a title photo ID. So this will be the ID of the photo that we will display on the album. So it's kind of nice a preview of the album. So this will reference individual album, and then obviously we will have well, to some extent that would be enough. So yes, few more things in terms of API. I guess I forgot. What else? Oh yeah, obviously it's ID here. So few more things, right? So this is we talked about right now about working with individual things, but we need to have a list. We need to have the list of photos. We need to have the list of albums. So we'll need to have few additional APIs here. So first, let's talk about the albums, right? When we can get the album by ID, and then we can have all the photos in that album. So this will return us a list of the uh, of all photos, and we also need to have the list of albums itself, right? And for that we have just can have an API which is just album without any password identification, and it will return us all the photos. And it will return us information about all the albums of the specific user. Uh, for the photos, it's again would make sense to add one more API here. API REST API call here would be just we would uh, getting all the photos. So it's without any album, we're just getting all the photos of the current user, and that's where we will use that particular API. Let's think if there is any other if there are any other APIs that we will really need here. So we can, yes, upload we covered, create an album we covered, showing the album list is covered, uh, photo grid. Well, here is a yes, we kind of covered this. By the way, this photo API, it probably makes sense to make it paginable. So it probably accept like offset and limit uh, query parameters. This way, it could like you could do pagination, right? Because eventually, like user could have thousands and tens of thousands of photos, and there is not much point in loading like all the photos. Even if you will not load the like images of those photos, even loading the information of these hundreds of like tens of thousands of photos is doesn't make much sense. That's why we'll probably need some pagination, which we will use while scrolling this photo grid component. And well, as a transitive measure, it will be also the same here, because theoretically you could have albums with many photos. Um, for albums, it's probably not that relevant. Most likely, people will not really not really create thousands of albums. But yeah, if our application evolves and we have such users, obviously we could add these pagination capabilities to the album API. Uh, Now let's maybe also talk about the way how we are going to store this information on the client side in order to prevent like refetching much of the information. And here we'll have like a couple of stores on the client side. Uh, this could be like any sort of store. Uh, it could be even also cached if wanted into the local storage, for example, or into IndexedDB, something like that. But in a nutshell, we will need to basically store a couple of things. We'll need to store like photos, and this will be our photo store, and it will have basically. It will be stored by yeah, maybe let's use kind of an object notation. It will be using like photo ID and map it to a photo, and sure, maybe let's use um, yeah, ID map it to a photo, and what else? And obviously the same for albums. We will map album ID to album. Um, Here, while also constructing that storage, we would ensure that, for example, uh, each album has the references to the photos ID that there. We didn't right now. We didn't like really our album structure that is returned by album is it's not really returning any information about the photos it's having, but like we have a separate API call that would fetch all the photos inside the album, and then using those photos information, we could construct, and when we're constructing this kind of storage, we could just also record that this particular album called this photo that would kind of pre-calculating that information would allow us to quickly determine which photos are inside the album and not to repeat the calculations every time. Uh, so now this is more like high level design and API design of how this would work together. Now let's talk a bit more about how we would like optimize that to satisfy some of the non-functional requirements that we mentioned in the beginning, right? We said that we want this to be fast, uh, and we want to like log the information, and we want to make it accessible, such things. So let's talk about that, satisfying non-functional requirements. First, about the optimization, right? So we already briefly touched that point when we talked about the viewport and not not rendering the whole photos in the grid at the same time, not loading them. So this is will be one of our important things specifically for that type of problem, like this photo sharing app. For other kind of applications, might not be that relevant, but for this specific case, it's relevant. So yeah, as we mentioned already, this is going to be like a virtualized list to show photos. This will make sure that our browser is snappy and it's capable. It's not hangs and works fast. Now again, this is pretty related to the images. Thumbnails should be optimized. So somewhere on the server side, when we upload the photo, and I didn't cover that. This was more like for a distributed system design, but like when we upload the photo, we should right after we upload it to the server, we should start a process of creating an optimized thumbnail, which would be just a few kilobytes, maybe like 10 of kilobytes or so, and stored separately. And this is what we will use to show these thumbnails. We will not like load the big images and show them there. Otherwise, like it would be disaster in terms of like how much data our application is load. So thumbnails should be optimized and small. Furthermore, we could optimize, like as I said a couple of times already, we could have another step like showing when we show like a full screen size. It's not really full screen size. It still could be like not this 20 megapixel photo. It could be still smaller. Again, done in a similar fashion as the thumbnails. And in order to achieve that, we could use such image attributes as SRC set, for example, and sizes. And well, there are many mechanisms how you can achieve that, but this would also allow you to, for example, have different sizes of images loaded depending on the viewport and the screen size that user is viewing the photos on. Um, and obviously, all these both thumbnails and full photos, they should come from the CDNs. So this would be images would be served from CDNs. CDNs. This would ensure that users are like that photos are loading fast for users, and that fast not just because those CDNs would be closer to the user location. Yeah, they also could be already precached. So CDN is a must-have for such sort of application as we are talking about here. Um, well, what else? Now more like things that are applicable to any modern web application. Obviously, like JavaScript, CSS should be like fonts. If you're using custom fonts, should be like served compressed. And in case of JavaScript and CSS, it should be also minimized. That's also improves that kind of security of your application, at least like makes it harder for someone to debug what's going on there. Of course, it would be good to add bundle splitting, so you have like a separate bundle for polyfills, separate bundle for vendor libraries, which you don't load too often. Then you could asynchronously load some JavaScript and CSS depending like the page. So for example, you first load the photo stream page and like ability to upload and all the components for uploading or for viewing like albums or for viewing read, they could be loaded asynchronously while you're already photo stream is working and people already are able to use your app. Well, yeah, things like using obviously async for script tags, uh, using HTTP2. That way you could load uh, multiple files simultaneously. Yeah, basically that would be it for optimization. Well, now we have our application that is fast and loads snappy. Uh, but we also want to know what's going on with our application, right? And for that, we will need some analytics. So what kind of analytics we would need? Probably the important thing that we would need here is track JavaScript errors. So we want to track JavaScript errors that happen in the whole app, and then we send them to our server, and then we have some sort of monitoring solution that is capable of alerting in case of error rate goes up, and it also significantly helps the us as the developers and later to see like to debug some problems to see what's going on there. So it's basically setting window on error or like adding event listener for error event and making sure that this is somehow logged on the backend. But besides that, we also want to track user behavior. We could have some custom libraries, or we could have like our in-house solutions that would allow us again to see if we want to introduce some new feature, if users are using that feature, how they're using that feature, if they like it or not. It would also help with A/B experiments. So if you want to try two different versions of approaches and see what performs better, that would be crucial. So yeah, we should have that. And besides that, well, one of other our functional requirements was to make sure that our app is accessible for as many people as possible. So what could be done here? First, well, there are a couple of things, of course. One thing is kind of more just talking not about the accessibility for people with some impairments, but rather just making sure that our app is available for many users in general. It's about localization and internationalization. So what this means that our app should be translated into different languages depending on whenever user um, opens our app in browser, we will try to determine the user's location from the request that browser is sending, and we'll try to render the website in that locale, of course, if we support that. And internationalization means we would like to make sure that the dates and numbers are displayed in the way how people are used to in their culture. So this would kind of definitely increase the reach of our app, and yeah, more people would be able to use it. But we would also want to target people that have some difficulties or impairments with things like making our app screen readers accessible. So this is for the people with eyesight impairments. Screen reader uh, compatible. So that means we will need to uh, use like various ARIA attributes on all our like input fields and text fields and description fields to make sure that this is well read by various screen readers and users with sight impairments could comprehend what's going on our website. We could also have a keyboard navigation Uh, so this is also important for the users with sight impairments and maybe some other types of impairments. So it's important to have a, and in general, there's many users prefer, like power users prefer to use a keyboard to navigate around the website. I, by the way, hate uh, Google Photos experience with deleting photos. The keyboard actions stuck there a lot. So it's even such like even like real Google Photos is not doing that great. And well, obviously we could have some contrast settings or contrast schema adjustments again for people with sight impairments. That would be mostly it for the accessibility and in general for our interview. Uh, this is took probably around 50 minutes. So this is something that you should aim to cover in a system design interview. I hope it was useful. Please like this video, like other videos, subscribe. I hope to share a few more videos on the topic later.